There we go. Let's get started with our augmented chords. So first of all, I hope you have your guitars with you. This is just going to be a quick little review on what augmented chords are. Okay, we've got 4 types of chords. Triads in this big world of ours. We've got major, 1, 3, 5, takes the first, the third, and the fifth steps out of the major scale. We have the minor, which is 1, flat 3, 5. The flatted third step of the major scale in the fifth. We have diminished 1, flat 3, flat 5, and now we've got this fourth type here, 1, 3, sharp 5, which is called augmented. It sounds like this. It's kind of an open sound. It's an unresolved sound. It's a yearning sound. It wants to go somewhere. Okay, that's what augmented chords do. They work well with going. They are wanting to resolve. Okay, so augmented chords in its purest form is 1, 3, sharp 5. Now, you often see them with the augmented 7th. So what's that? That would be 1, 3, sharp 5, and a flatted 7th. So if I was doing that, let's see, you'd see that sort of a combination. A little bit hard to do on guitar. Let's see. That in that voicing is a little bit awkward to do it that way, but you're most often going to see them with the 7th included there. So that's what they are. So if we had to spell a few of those, if I wanted a C augmented in a triad form, it would be a C, an E, and a G sharp. Okay? If you're a little fuzzy on your music theory, I did a whole thing on this a few months ago on how music works and the scale notes and all that sort of stuff. We also did a series that's in our playlist, our YouTube playlist there, of the chords you need to know, and that's going to cover, especially in the jazz section, these augmented chords as well. So there you go. That's what it is. It's a 1, 3, sharp 5, flatted 7th. If I was in the key of G, it would be a G, B, D sharp, okay, or E flat, G, B, D sharp, and then an F natural, because the key of G would normally have an F sharp in it, but it's a flatted 7th, so it'd be an F natural. There you go. Thank you, Diane. Thank you, Diane. Hey, Howard, welcome from the Philadelphia suburbs. Come on, glad you're here. Howard was at our fall fingerstyle retreat 2 years ago. All right, so there you go. That's what it is. So now let's talk about how it works and what it does. All right. A major chord is a chord of resolution. That's home base, okay? Then you have a few other chords that want to be resolved. This is one of those want to be resolved chords. So it is often used, most often used, as a dominant. What I mean by that is if I was in the key of C, it would not appear on the 1 or the 2 or the 3 or the 4. It would appear on the 5. I would see, if I wanted to use an augmented, it would appear on the 5, the G augmented, the dominant function, the 5 chord in any key. That's where you're going to see a lot of these augmented chords being used. In that song we were just doing. There it is right there. There's an A augmented right there. There you go, resolving down. You'll see 5 chords augmenteds, these dominant augmenteds, all the time. You'll see them in jazz. If I was doing it major, let's see, let me find a major resolution here. Here's the 2, D minor, the G augmented for the 5, and then this C major 7th for the 1. So they work particularly well in jazz. You'll see a lot of augmented chords used in jazz. So in this particular song here, I've got a C major 7th, and then right out of the bat, I have an A augmented 7. One of the things that augmented 7ths sound great going to is minor chords. So this one resolves to a D minor. All right, so that's kind of what they are and how they're used. Now let's get you playing them. Enough of me talking. Grab your guitar. Let's see if we can play a few of them. All right, so I want you to go to that chord chart that we have here. This would be the 3rd page, called Power Chords, Inversions, ninths, 11ths, 13ths. I show you some jazz chords on there. And then we're going to skip past the power chords and ninth chords and all that sort of stuff. Look at the second column over here, and the third slot down here is augmented chords. So I'm going to show you a couple of augmented chords. You know, here I was thinking, gosh, you know, I play all the time, how do I use augmented chords? Okay, I only know, I can only think of 3 augmented forms that I use. Okay, and I'm going to show you 2 of them, and we'll talk about the other 2. First one is one with a root on the 6th string, and that's what this first one here. If you take a look at that on that chord chart there, it says augmented chords, and it has an F augmented 7th, AUG 7. Okay, so you've got your first finger on the F. You've got your second finger. We're skipping the 5th string. You've got your second finger on the 4th string. Third finger on the 3rd string, 2nd fret. Pinky right underneath it on the 2nd string, 2nd fret. And you're just playing those 4 notes. So I'm not playing that high first string. Now, if I wanted to, how am I muting out that 5th string? Well, this first finger, he's kind of touching that 5th string. So the only notes actually ringing out are the 6th, 4th, 3rd, and 2nd string. So you try and find that chord. Try and find that chord for me right now. Okay? Have you got it? There it is. All right, now we're going to practice getting to it. We're going to practice getting to it. So put your hand down, okay? And we're going to form, now put your hand up, and we're going to form that F augmented. Okay, can you find it? Can you find it? We are on the 3rd page of those chord charts that I gave you. Okay, put your hand down again. Let's find it. Okay, put your hand back. An F augmented 7th. F augmented 7th. First finger is the root. Notice how it's got a diamond in that little chord block diagram there. That's telling you that it's a movable root. I can move that around. That's telling you that that note is what I'm pivoting off of. And that's an F. So if I wanted to, let's say, a G augmented 7th, well, a G is up here at the 3rd fret. So I would move everything up there and adjust my hand accordingly, and I've got a G augmented 7th. So let's try to play that one. So put your hand down, and then put your hand back for the G augmented 7th. Okay, let's just jump around a little bit more. Let's say I wanted an A augmented 7th on that 6th string, that 6th string root. So where would I have to go? Well, here's F, there's G, there's A up here at the 5th fret, the 2nd dot on most of your guitars. And so now we're going to find that A augmented 7th. Ready? Here we go. 3, 2, 1. A augmented 7th. 2 more. Can you find me a B augmented 7th? B augmented 7th. Well, now here you're up here at the 7th fret for the B augmented 7th. You try and play that. Try and get each of the notes to be as clear as you can. When in doubt, go individually, each one. I'm playing finger style. My thumb is hitting the 6th string. My index finger is hitting the 4th string. My middle finger is hitting the 3rd string. My ring finger is hitting the 2nd string. Okay, and where would a C augmented be? If that's a B augmented, where would a C augmented be? Okay, it'd be up at the 8th fret. So see if you can find it. See if you can play me a C augmented 7th at the 8th fret. Try and find that for me. Ready? Go. There you go. So that's an augmented 7th shape on the 6th string. All right? That's one of the, there's 2 side ones, and that's, you've learned half of the major ones right there. I've got a 6th string version. I'm going to show you a 5th string version as well. So that's the 6th string version of it. All right, so take a look at the next chord diagram over there. This is a 5th string root on this one, and this is a C augmented 7th. we've got our third finger on the 5th string at the 3rd fret, second finger on the 4th string 2nd fret, and then I've got my first finger barring the 3rd and the 2nd string. It's like an F shape. Remember this little F shape? Okay, we've got this F shape here, but if I moved it down a set of strings, it would be there. Okay, can you put your, let's practice that one. Put your hand down and then try and find that chord for me. This is a C augmented. C augmented. You've got that bar with your first finger covering 2 strings, okay? Remember how this works? Your knuckle on this hand most of the time goes like this, but occasionally you'll need it to invert like that. And on these little bars, these little 2-string bars, 3-2-3-string bars, you'll need to invert it. So here's on this one, I don't know whether we've got a good camera angle for it, but these two are coming straight over. This one is actually inverted. Okay? You can kind of see how that works. So that's a C augmented. That's a C augmented there. If I wanted to, well, let's practice it one more time. Put your hand down. Put your hand down. And then go back and find that C augmented. There you go. Okay? All right, now this is pivoting not off the 6th string like the other one was. This is pivoting off of the 5th string. So we need to figure out what we're doing on the 5th string. So here's the C. This is the note that it's pivoting off of. That's the note with the diamond around it in the chord block. So if I wanted to play, let's say, a D augmented 7th, where would that be? Well, here's C. D would be 2 steps up, and then I form the chord like that. Okay? Sounds a little awkward just being by itself. Now, that particular voicing just has, it's just a triad, really. 1, 3, sharp 5, and then the octave. So that one doesn't have this flatted 7th in it. The other one does. This one is just a triad. All right, so we found C augmented, we found a D augmented. Let's see if we can find, oh, I don't know, an E flat augmented. So put your hand down. And now we're going to put our 3rd finger on the 6th fret of the 5th string. Sometimes you'll hear all these. Sometimes you'll hear these augmented chords used in old 50s songs. You'll hear something like. But they'll kind of start off with that sort of a longing augmented chord. That's one way to do it. Okay, so we E flat augmented. We found that one. What if we wanted a, I don't know, an F augmented? Where would that be? An F augmented. Well, that would be up here with our 3rd finger at the 5th string at the 8th fret. Hey, we learned the other F augmented down here. So jump down to the 6th string root 1. Okay, you're doing great. Then back up to the 5th string version. Okay, so those two are the same chord. This being a pure augmented, this being augmented 7th. Okay, what if I wanted a G augmented? G augmented. Okay, where would you have to go? On the 5th string version, I'd have to put my 3rd finger at the 10th fret. And then do my little bar. That would be a G augmented up there. Hey, where's the other G augmented? The one on the 6th string. Can you find that one? At the 3rd fret is where the 6th string ones. So we've learned a 6th string way to play it. We've learned the 5th string way to play it. And those are the 2 main ones that I use. Now, There is another one. I don't even think I have it written in anywhere on this. So let me just kind of show it to you. If I had this F augmented, like our 6-string version, and I kind of switch my fingers around, let's say I put this F at the top. So now I have an E flat with my first finger on the 4th string, 1st fret, 3rd finger on the A, C sharp with my pinky, and now my 2nd finger is going to reach down here on the 1st string and catch that F augmented. So do you see it's still an F augmented 7th? I've just jumped the F up 2 octaves. And in order to do that, I had to kind of switch my fingers around a little bit. So try and play that form of it. Now, the root, you got to think, be a guitar thinker now. Come on. That root is now on the 1st string. 1st string. So if I wanted it, that's an F augmented. What if I wanted a G augmented? I would just slide him up 2, because now the G is right here on the 1st string. So you got to think, where is the root on these? What if I wanted an A augmented? I'm up here at the 5th fret. Oh, but Steve, it's confusing because the lowest note is a G. Yes, but you're paying attention to the root, which is on your 2nd finger, and it's on the 1st string. And there's your A augmented. So that's another way to play it. Now, so we've got this shape. We've got kind of the upper inversion of this shape. And now we've got this 5th string shape. So those are 3 good shapes that you can do. Now, having said that, let's practice it for a little bit, and then I'm going to show you some really cool variations of it. So if I wanted to go, let's say, from a C, the 1 chord in the key of C, maybe to an A minor, the 6th chord in the key of C, to a G augmented. Okay, so here's the C. Here's an A minor 7th if you want. And then a G augmented, well, the closest one, and we always want to go to the closest inversion. I could go to one up here, but that's too much of a jump. So I'm going to stay right here. A G augmented would be right there. So you see if you can play that progression for me. 1 measure of C, 1 measure of A minor, 1 measure of G augmented. 1, 2, ready, go. C, 1, 2, 3, 4. A minor, 1, 2, 3, 4. G augmented, 2, 3. Let's give another bar of that. Do it again. C major, regular old C. I don't care what rhythm you're using. You do fingerstyle, strumming, I don't care. A minor, G augmented, then back to C major. See how that D sharp resolving up to the E natural of the highest tone of both of those kind of gives a real lift. Let's try another progression. Let's say we wanted to jazz it up a little bit, and let's say we did a C major 7th to maybe an A minor 7th to our G augmented. And then maybe back to a C major 7th, something like that. Okay, C major 7th with our bar down here, if you can do it. 1, 2, C major 7th, ready, go. 2, 3, A minor 7th. Here comes our G augmented. There you go. Back to C major 7th. See how well that A minor 7th, see how well that resolves? G augmented. Good job. Hey, do the same progression. We're doing the key of D. So now I have a D major, or you can do the D major 7th if you want to a B minor. I gotta use a bar on that one. And then to the 5 augmented, which would be an A augmented 7th. D major 7th. You do it. 2, ready, D major 7th, go. B minor 7th. You're doing great. A augmented. D major 7th. Hey, let's do that A augmented again, but this time we're going to flip the inversion to where we're throwing that A on top. Remember that other inversion I showed you? So now we're going to have something like this. Do it again. D major 7th, ready, go! B minor 7th. A augmented, the higher version. Hear how that A augmented has such pull. It just wants to resolve. It's screaming to resolve. Okay? Tension and resolution. Tension and resolution. That's what it's all about in music. Tension and resolution. All right, so let's get some practice with it with that other form. So let's say we're doing a progression that's more like a G major to maybe a C to a D augmented back to G major, something like that. 1, 4, and then the 5 augmented. So here you do it with me. Open G, ready, go. C major. D augmented, slide up 2 and make that augmented. G major, do it again. G major. C major. D augmented. Hear that? Pull up there. Now, remember how our diminished chord forms, every 3 frets they repeated? It just had to do with the intervals within them were so were identical in a diminished. So we could do things like this. If you're a little fuzzy on that, go back and look at the workout that we did on diminished chords. Now, augmented chords kind of do that too, but the intervals are, instead of making 4 intervals in there, you can only make 3. So just think with me. The notes in a C augmented triad are a C, E, and a G sharp. What's the distance from a C to an E? That's a major third. What's the distance from an E to a G sharp? A major third. What's the distance from a G sharp to a C? An A flat. If you want to think of G sharp as A flat. An A flat to a C, that's another major third. So it's a major third, major third, major third. So you end up with a triad that sounds like this. I can't go up here. Sorry. You'll hear that a lot of times in television shows and things like that when they're trying to create an illusion of lifting. You'll hear that. So augmented chords have that ability to repeat as well, not as cleanly, not as musically wonderful as the diminished, but you can still do it a little bit on augmented chords as well. So there you go. All right, let me show you another one before I let you go, let you loose into the real world with all these augmented chords. You don't know how to use them yet, okay? We're like, it could be dangerous if you don't know where to use them. You could be in your bluegrass gig, and you're gonna try it. And the bluegrass guys are going to throw you off the bandstand. Their augmented chords work best in more of a jazz sort of a sound. Okay, it's a little more of a complicated chord. So if I play that in a country song or in a bluegrass setting, it's not going to work as well. But in a jazz setting, it's going to sound great. And remember, they're almost always functioning as a 5, as a dominant chord. Now, because they're functioning as a dominant chord, I can add a bunch of stuff to them. I can add an augmented flat 7, add augmented 7th. I could do an augmented 9th. I could do an augmented flat 9. I could do an augmented sharp 9. I could do a sharp 9, flat 9. All of those on a dominant chord, I can add anything on a dominant chord. So let's talk about some of those inversions. So if I'm up here playing an A augmented, okay, or actually let's do the upper inversion. There's the A augmented. If I wanted to add the flatted ninth, which is that note right there, I got to switch my fingers around, and I play this really cool jazz form right there with my first finger on the 4th string, 5th fret, and then I'm barring with my second finger 3 strings at the 6th fret. And I know what you're saying, but Steve, that you're saying that's an A augmented? That doesn't compute. There's not an A in it. I know, it doesn't have an A in it. It's a rootless chord voicing we call in the biz. And after all, who really needs the root anyway? You know, that's what the bass player is getting paid for, is to play those roots. You as the guitar player, you can play all these upper extensions and sound hip as all get out. And you're not even playing the root. So don't let that freak you out. How can it be the chord without the root? Well, you got to think, other instruments are playing the root. Okay, so if I wanted the A, I could grab it down here. If I wanted to really do it, I guess I could squeeze my fingers in there and do it like that. But do you see how nicely that flat 9 sounds? Let me add that to my, what were we doing? When You Wish Upon a Star. There it is. Oh, there it is. There's our augmented. I snuck it in there on that chord. How many times can I throw in an augmented chord? Augmented, minor, augmented. So they work really good doing that flat 9, sharp 9. Now let me show you. So I've showed you the augmented flat 9. Now put your reach out and put your pinky on the 4th fret over there. So now he's at the 1st string, 8th fret. So I've got my first finger on the 4th string. I've got my second finger now barring the 3rd and 2nd string at the 6th fret. And then I've got my pinky way out here on the 1st string at the 8th fret. And let's add that. Let's add that A, low A to it as well. They're saying that my guitar is still a little bit too hot, so maybe we could just bring my guitar mic down a little bit. Great chord for jazz. Particularly if I wanted to resolve to a minor chord, let's say a D minor. It sounds great for that. There's an augmented. There's another one augmented, sharp 9. Oh, that was beautiful. D minor with the A in the bass. A is the upper tone, chord melody tone. And then the G augmented sharp 9 with that B flat. And then you raise it up to, oh, I don't know, maybe the B of the C major 7th. Oh, that's pretty. See how these augmented chords really start moving around, and they sound great in major or minor, but they work particularly well when going to a minor chord. Do you guys have any questions on augmented chords before we get too far, too deep into the fun that we can have with augmented chords? Okay, just put them in all caps if you can. Another thing that you can do with that, keeping in mind that you can do the augmented with a sharp 9, is let's say if I wanted to be on this augmented, instead of barring this, the sharp 9 would be the pinky, and you you end up with a really, really tense chord. So that would work good in the key of F, and that would be like a C augmented sharp 9. So if I put that into context, maybe a G minor. Let's do that again. That sounded good. G minor 11th. C augmented with a sharp 9. F major 7 flat 5. G minor 9. C augmented up here. So I could even take the notes within it and form a little melodic line with it. Okay, so I'm realize we're jumping way up in the theory here for a second, but just for a second, let's let me just kind of go there for a second. So on that progression we were doing a G minor, and I turned it into a G minor 9th, and then we were doing this C augmented sharp 9 to an F major 7th, but I decided to do something a little bit up, so we have a G major 9, G minor 9th. Augmented, switch inversion to the sharp 9, flat 9. So I have a little resolving down to the 3rd of the F major 7th on the C augmented. So if I wanted to create a little melodic line from that, that works over the C augmented, resolving to the F major 7th. If I would put it back in C, it would be here. Like. So if I'm just playing a single note line, what was that? Oh, that sounded so funky. What was that? It's just the F, the G augmented chord I just taught you. Sharp 9, flat 9 to the G, walking down to the 3rd of the C major. D minor 7th triad. Oh, what was all that? Just exactly what it, F, B, this is the G augmented triad. So if I had a D minor 7. You can wind your way down to it. You can wind your way up to it. How many ways can I just combine the same 4 notes? So I realize I jumped into college level jazz theory for a second, but I just kind of want to show you some of the fun that you can have with those. Okay. Ayala is saying, how can I get all those passing chords and add them to a major chord progression? Okay, so if I'm in the key of C, let's go back to C, and I have a rather simple progression. Let's say C, maybe a 1, 6, 2, 5, C, A minor, D minor, and then the 5 is where I'm going to throw in my augmented and throw some fun chords there. So I have a C major, now, if I do some, throw some jazz chords, then I'd make the C a C major 7th. The A minor, maybe an A minor 7th or A minor 9th. The D minor, maybe I could make a D minor 9th. Then I throw my G augmented on it. Maybe make a C major 9th. Do you see I'm just adding color tones to them? Let's see, so that progression we just did would be then A minor 9th, D minor 9th, G augmented, C major 9th, A minor 9th, D minor 9th, G augmented, the sharp 9, flat 9. There you go. So you can add those passing chords. All sorts of fun there, resolving back to the 1 there. Great question. Barry is saying, I take back what I said yesterday about you not playing the classical guitar. I love the tone. I love the tone too. Most of the professional work I've done in Nashville has been actually on this guitar, recording work, because it just is a great guitar for that sort of a sound. So, okay. Let me play one more thing to you, see if I can add some of these augmented chords in it, and then we will land this ship. This is a jazz song called "The Shadow of Your Smile," kind of a Latin thing, so I thought it would sound good on the nylon string guitar. Handwritten there from my old guitar teacher, Johnny Frisco. This is Johnny. One of the last things he gave me was this. Brian is saying, do we use the augmented chords as connectors? Well, they don't stand by themselves, so they're always leading to something. So they are connecting in the sense like you're connecting the 5 to the 1, but they don't work necessarily, everywhere like the diminished chord was. Like you can always throw a diminished chord half step below anything and it'll resolve to it. It doesn't quite work that way with augmenteds, but it does. They do connect you back to the 1 really well. Another thing, let me just mention it while I'm thinking about it. Another way that you can use these augmented chords, and you'll hear it sometimes. This is more of a cliche, a sonic cliche. I don't want to say it sounds like that's trite, but it's just how you say it. So sometimes they'll use it as a regular standard triad, and then they'll go to the F. So if I was an F, it would be F major, F augmented, F with a 6. Sometimes you'll even see it go to the flatted 7th, and then you resolve to the 4 chord, which in this case would be B flat. So that's kind of not really using it over a dominant function. You're kind of using it just as moving that note around. So that little cliche, musical cliche, you'll hear that a lot. Just like there's some in minor, you'll hear some with augmenteds. So I can't think of any songs initially write it with it. I'll think of it as soon as the show's over. And you can use those as way of using diminished chords as well. All right, so let me play a little bit of "The Shadow of Your Smile." See if you can hear where I'm incorporating the augmented chords. just for the sake of learning, I'm just going to tell you every time I play an augmented shape, so you can just kind of hear where it is. I can play one here. Augmented there. There's our augmented shape, but it's using a different function there. Here it is, augmented, flat 9. Augmented, flat 9. Going up to the B augmented. Augmented flat 9. That's a diminished, going down every 3 frets. Hey, what if I did kind of an augmented triads? Oh, that sounds kind of... That's not really an augmented. That's, let's see, that would be like a 13th with a flat 9. Still sounds cool though. Augmented shape, sharp 9. What if I did that every 3 frets? Augmented. That is actually an augmented shape too. Play just for a second. All right, hey, that was we went round the mountain on augmented chords there. WW Laidback is saying augmented chords make a great blues turnaround. Yes, because of that, they're hitting the flatted third, if you want to think about that. If I'm in the key of C, the flatted third in the key of C would be an E flat, and that is the same note that's making the G augmented. So that's why they work great in blues, because they gotta have that flatted third there. All right. Hey, great work, everyone. I hope that gave you some things to think on. Try and get those forms underneath your belt and think about some of the concepts that I talked to you about, how you can use them in putting them into some progressions to make them sound a little bit more jazzy. Hey, we've got our Guitar Gathering Conference coming up here in just a couple of weeks. It's not too late to register. I had somebody register today for our Guitar Gathering Conference. If you're interested in learning this kind of stuff, we have Grammy-winning a jazz guitarist, Andy Reese, is going to be talking about jazz phrasing and chord voicings and things like that. He's doing workshops. We've got Bart Walker. Bart Walker's going to be teaching blues. After Stevie Ray Vaughan died, Double Trouble, Bart Walker stepped in and started playing with Double Trouble, Stevie's band, and they went on the road and did things together too. So what an amazing blues player. We got Jim Hurst, the IBMA, the Bluegrass Guitar Player of the Year, 2 years in a row. And then we also have Grammy-winning flat-picking guitarist David Greer's with us. Oh, we got Scott Bernard, Kenny Loggins is guitar player. All kinds of great players. Parker Hastings, Thumb Picker of the Year. Joe Robinson, Australia's Got Talent winner. It's going to be an amazing conference. We still got room for a few more. If you're interested in coming to Nashville for 4 wonderful days, check it out at guitargathering2021.com. Hey, if you like my baseball hat, we got some new baseball hats in. So we didn't have them in there for the longest time, so we've got them back in there. So we've got some of our swag lying around as well. Hey, if you appreciate the work that we do, if you can subscribe to our channel, that helps us. Click that like button. If you're interested in supporting the work that we do for all of our free lessons that we put out, there's PayPal links down in the YouTube description there, or there's a super chat going if you want to do that too. Thank you for being with us and for allowing us to be part of your guitar learning journey. Hey, I'm Steve Krenz coming at you live from Nashville, Tennessee. Keep up the great work in your learning. We'll see you next time.